I've been dying to get onto the radio this week. It's one of these things about having a weekend show here at LBC, is things happen in the week. And I could feel myself. I think, what is it? Where am I trying to go? What is it bugging me? And it's because I want to get to the radio to be able to speak to you all about what's going on. Tony Blair on our TV screens telling us that we didn't know what we voted for, that we had imperfect knowledge when we voted to leave, that when we were voting to leave the European Union, we didn't know what it was that we were really voting for, that what we require is informed knowledge. And in the phrase that really has gripped my guts, he said, and we need that given to us in easy to understand ways. Can you imagine? It's so insulting. All of it is so insulting, playing to that whole narrative yet again that we can't understand big issues, that we can't understand information, that we are too stupid to get it. That only the smart, the intellectual elite, only people like Blair and his chums, his moneyed chums, they're the only ones that can understand, despite the fact that he was the one who unleashed a massive global conflict across the Middle East on the basis, effectively, of a student dissertation he printed off the internet, despite the fact that he unleashed imaginable horror on the basis of myth and spin. Despite all of his past failings, suddenly he's the one here to save the day, standing there for open Britain, telling us that we don't know enough, that we need to be explained to in simple words because we're so stupid, that Remainers should rise up and fight back against Theresa May's Brexit. I want to know, and he can dream on if he thinks that's got anything to do with him as well. I want to know, I'm just pointing to a picture here I'm holding up in the studio with him indicating a certain length, which I think is only something he could ever aspire to. I want to know exactly, if you're a supporter of Blair and everything he said, what exactly is rising up? What will rise up mean? What are you going to do? Do tell me. Are you going to what? Are you going to click on a petition? Are you? You're not. That's so powerful. What are you going to do? Make a placard? Are you? You're going to make a banner? Well, you know, spin it round from the last time you were protesting, and you're going to make another banner and go on another protest against Brexit, are you? Are you going to stand round and applaud Gina Miller because she managed to go to court and then really not achieve much at all? Is that what you're going to do? Is that rising up? And love to hear articulated are some of the very angry voices that think I'm wrong, that believe I am wrong for saying the things I've said, that think I'm wrong for saying, yes, our country is a little cowed. Our country is a little sad. Not because of this one incident. Not because of this one horrible man who mowed down individuals, mowed down a mother on her way to pick up her children, 2 children, 11 and 8, just like my own girls. You know, girls waiting at school for their mum just to come round the corner, getting their spelling books, getting their PE kits, rounding up their blazers, sorting themselves out to go out and meet their mum, who never came. And you tell me you carry on. You tell me we're united. You put up there, Philip Schofield, that as an act of defiance, you walked across Westminster Bridge. You are pathetic. You are pathetic. You walked across a bridge. You walked down a pavement. Dan Snow, you took a video on your way to work showing pictures of pretty flowers. No, you are not brave. You are not united. You are cowed. You happen to think that that's the new normal. You happen to think cracking on like you did yesterday somehow shows that you are fighting back, that you are resilient. That is not good enough. The terrorists in this country have made it so that you now believe walking down a pavement is brave. You now believe doing the things you always did is somehow resilient. You now believe just because you're still continent, you're still doubly continent, does that make you not cowed? Does that make us united? No, it does not. This country is not united. You can stand there just outside this building. You can see how cross I am. I'm really, really cross in Leicester Square. You stand there in Trafalgar Square with your little tea lights. You stand there with your hashtags. You stand there and make hearts up to the heavens. Because you know what ants do when a few of them are stood on? The rest crack on like normal and wait for the next footstep to fall. My challenge to you is that's exactly what we're doing as a society. We're carrying on. We are in denial. Now, if you think that makes you not cowed, I say you're the fool. Whether it's better or worse that the attacker, the terrorist, Khalid Massoud, was British. It seems to me, do correct me if I'm wrong, the Liberals, our Richmond massive, seem to think it's something of a triumph that he's British. They seem to think it's something of a win. And there's something not very nice in there. They seem to think it's they're sort of pleased he's British because then at least he's not a migrant. So that means Brexiteers are wrong? Is that where they're going? Why are Liberals pleased he's British? People think I must be cross that he's British because he's not a migrant and I'm a massive racist and a xenophobe, so therefore it doesn't fit with my narrative. No. On the contrary, I find it deeply distressing that we are describing him as British. He is no Brit. And we will trigger Article 50, finally. So my first thing, really, is to offer my congratulations, my support, my applause to every single one of the 52 and those that have joined us subsequently. Not only did you make Brexit happen, not only did you get us to this line, which some would say is a start line, some would say it's a finish line, but I think it's the start line. Not only did you get there, but I feel like, we almost stood there like, like someone that stood there as a punch bag, really. We said, yes, OK, you've given us a vote, lovely, and we vote to leave. June 23rd, we leave. And we celebrated. But over the course of the next 8 months, we have taken nothing but a beating. We have been punched for our decision. We have been told we made the wrong decision. We have been taken to court in order to be told we needed to ask Parliament again if they could then approve our decision. We've been told by old politicians looking for a moment in the sunshine once more that we made the wrong decision. There's been endless articles. I'm looking at one revolting one here from Matthew Paris, still preening about the fact that, won't it be great, he says, politics may be sour, but how sweet it is to be on the right side of a great question. That idea that the right side, the right answer was Remain, and the wrong answer was what we, the 52, voted for. So I take this opportunity, if I may, to applaud every single one of you that have stood strong for the last 9 months and got us to this point. And still they come. And still they come to argue. And it amazes me that even one day, 48 hours before we trigger Article 50, still they try to say, we're not prepared, we don't know what we're doing, we should have a plan for no deal. That is the opposite of how you go into any deal-making conversation, I would suggest. And just very quickly, it's been a very busy week. I write for Mail Online. It's been a very busy week there for an article that I wrote about Maddie McCann. It seems to me it's one of those subjects we've never been allowed to speak about. We're not really allowed, in my personal view, to speak about Maddie McCann. When I used to write for a different newspaper, I often asked to speak about Maddie or write about Maddie, and I was never allowed. I was told I wouldn't be taking the story forwards. And finally, after campaigning at the Mail, I was allowed to write about Maddie. And my belief that the thing, we've never really been allowed to say is that Maddie is never coming home. In my opinion, Maddie will never be found. For me, I believe, no amount of money and no amount of libel action will ever cancel out the damage that the McCanns have brought and inflicted upon themselves. I've always said, I don't believe we should have spent £11 million, for example, to look for Maddie, and I do not believe we've seen an equal treatment. You know, a man was charged for leaving his daughter in a car for 2 minutes while he raced into a chemist to get Calpol for her. You know, he was charged with that offence, and I do believe if the McCanns had come from a council estate, you know, we would have seen them treated very differently to the way that they have been treated over this. I still see Kate McCann's face being used to front up you know, campaigns to help find children when they're lost, which of course is something we'd all support, but I find it very difficult to offer support when it's Kate McCann's face that's standing up as the concerned mother looking for missing children. It seems to me that she's the very opposite person to use. I believe that was one of the least successful campaigns of all times. It strikes me the BBC, for example, were in on it as well. You know, they had the Crime Watch programme for the McCanns where they released new photo fits that the McCanns had been sitting on for 5 years because they didn't want to release them at the time. It strikes me, speaking very openly here on national radio, live on the radio, the McCanns were the ones that put their children in harm's way. They were the ones that went out for dinner and left their children without a babysitter. For me, I've always said the blame must sit with Kate and Jerry McCann. I have no problem with saying that either. You know, I think when we give birth to children, when I gave birth to my first daughter, I remember waking up that morning, looking over, seeing this tiny little thing in this little cot next to me and thinking, oh my gosh, A, that's mine. You know, B, how did that happen? I'm not old enough or sensible enough to have a baby. And C, you are born that day. You are born yourself, reborn with something called the fear. You know, it's a fear. And it's with you every day, every minute, right now as I sit here. The fear. Are my children safe? Are they well? Telling them, reminding them, be careful how you cross the road when we just go to the spa. Look left and right at the zebra crossing because the drivers won't stop. It's the fear. It's that time in the supermarket where they're out of your sight for 1 second. I can feel it now. There's a prickle that comes on your palm, the thought that something bad might happen to your children. That's a feeling every parent knows. My 3 children still have their little bunnies, you know, their little cuddle bunnies, and those bunnies are on their beds now. I can see them. I know what they look like. They're just rags, really. But I know if one of my children were ever taken from me for health or whatever, I don't know if I'd go on, but I know I would sleep with that under my pillow every night until I went or my daughter was found. You know, and I think this is the truth of millions of parents out there across Great Britain. This is the truth that is not spoken about Maddie McCann. And this is why we must all remain and stand strong for Maddie McCann. You know, it strikes me that in this instance, Maddie wasn't lost because someone took her. I believe Maddie was lost because she was left to be found. So thank you for letting me share that.
Hi. I just saying regarding the people being imported in the airport.
Yes.
And I don't really agree because they're civilian. They're just running away from crisis. They try to get a safer place, to get a better life, to improve their life. If the United States refused, if Trump said, I'm not happy to allow the immigrants in my country,
yes,
or not helping them, at least, okay, ban the citizenship. Don't allow them to have the citizenship. Let them live along the society. Let them live their life, but with their own nationality, with their own Syrian nationality. As soon as the country is safe, they can go back.
Okay, Aman, can I ask you a question? Or Eamon? Is it Eamon? I apologise.
Eamon, yeah.
I apologise. Let me ask you a question directly, and please don't take offence at the question. Why is it, help me understand, always help me, why is it we see Muslims running from Muslim countries to Christian countries for a better life? Does that not tell us something about Muslims, the religion of Islam? Why is it always Christian countries that need to save Muslim countries? Help me understand.
It's at the moment, Muslim himself, there's issue inside Islam. There's issues between Sunni and Shia. There's so many issues that digs deep to a civil war. Islam. At the moment, Islam is not in the perfect shape, to be honest.
No.
Because of the division that we have, the division. some of them, they say, you follow the West. Some of them, they say, no, you follow Islamic State. So there's so much division over there that causes us to go to civil war.
But Ayman, if Islam is not in a perfect shape, which I respect your honesty, and there's divisions between Sunni and Shia and others, why then would America want to import those divisions? Why should America want those divisions on its shores? Why is it always Christian countries that need to import problems to solve them, when in fact if I tried to go over to a Muslim country, I would be seen as less and required to dress a certain way and have all the problems, the divisions put upon me if I went to a Muslim country, but somehow Christian countries are supposed to open their arms, open their borders and solve the problems of Islam. I'm really conflicted by trying to understand that.
I do understand your point as well, but at the same time, I feel for the people who live in there a bit. If the Western was in the same situation and the Middle East was in upper hand with the United States, I expected the same from that side as well to get help. But at the moment, the Western in the better shape that the Middle East needed more help. Because
I know, but I almost feel, Ayman, I can't help but be really honest with you. I feel like the Western world is in a better shape because we have Christian religions which seem to be less oppressive in some regards, especially with those who are more extreme in the way they practice them. And I can't help but wonder why Muslims who come over here escaping the problems they have living under their religion don't leave that religion behind as well. I don't know why it is that we have, when we have done a survey over in the UK about a Muslim religion, Muslims say they don't want to integrate with Western society. They don't really want to integrate. They want to preserve the Muslim tradition, Islamic traditions. I struggle with that, of course, because that's something many of them were escaping, that division. So that's why I don't see why it's in Americans' interest to bring the divisions of Islam, to bring the divided religion that is Islam into the USA.